watching the second News Hour debate on Times Now Super Prime Time.
Mahesh Jethmalani and Mahroof Raza on the Indian side, and Syed, Tariq, Peerzada and Zafar Hilaly from Islamabad and Karachi respectively. Zafar Hilaly, my first question is to you. You know, the joke, the greatest global joke is now the Pakistani legal system and the pace at which it works. I mean, we have finished our entire judicial process and you haven't completed stage 1 of the trial. So sorry and so pathetic is this joke that I have been told that on 20th of November 2013, 4 days back, a Karachi-based port worker who had seen 10 Lashkar-e-Toiba terrorists leaving in a boat hours before the terror attacks of 2008 was cross-examined in a Pakistani anti-terrorism court on Wednesday. This cross-examination happens on the 5th anniversary. 5 years since 26/11, you begin the cross-examination.
Yes, well, let me give you an equally outstanding fact that the Indian courts managed to examine 616 witnesses in 332 days and brought to end a trial, whereas another trial of the Samjhota Express is still continuing. Well, and in other words, 2 witnesses a day. Now you see, my friend,
well, you know, by the way, Zafar Hilaly,
so can we.
Zafar Hilaly, 1 second. Zafar Hilaly, in those countries of the world which have the unique distinction of not being failed, collapsed nations like yours, that is not such a global record. If we have a country which has the conviction and the judicial process to have that kind of a process, it is not something to be stunned at. I am completely aware about your country's own record as far as the legal system is concerned. I can challenge you point to point on that. But you answer my question, don't deflect it. Answer my question. 5 years since 26/11, you are cross-examining a person who saw the Lashkar men leave in a boat.
I will first answer your allegation and then I will answer your question. The allegation that you made that we are a failed this and failed that, why don't you visit this country and try and find out how failed we are? You'll find that you'll be deeply disappointed. I mean, I've just come from a wonderful Japanese restaurant.
No, 1 second. Let's not trivialize this, Mr. And I'm sorry, Mr. Zafar Hilaly. That's the problem with that's a problem with a failed state that also has a certain amount of an oligarchic feudal nature attached to it. That you think that development is going to a Japanese restaurant, and I will not on the 5th anniversary of 26/11 allow you to trivialize the argument by putting such facetious arguments such as this. I want Mahesh Jethmalani to give a more serious tone to this debate, because clearly Mr. Zafar Hilaly lacked any clear argument when I asked him why the cross-examination of a witness happens 5 years after 26/11 and is coming up with that rubbish about the Japanese restaurant. But Mahesh Jethmalani, would you like to give your perspective, please? You can laugh all you like, Mr. You can laugh all you like, Mr. Hilaly. But I would much prefer that you respond with fact, you know.
Yes.
Not with this mocking attitude. Yes.
Look at the speed with which you proceed when you need to.
Well, I always
616 witnesses in 300 days.
Yes,
remarkable.
We do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Unlike your country, where 18,000, if you want to talk about 18,000, unlike in your country, where 18,005 civilians have been killed, where 5,449 security personnel have been killed since 2003, where terrorists, 26,772 terrorists have been killed.
Unfortunately, a lot of them have been killed by people who are now being funded by you.
Well,
and that's the next thing which is going to
I will come back to you.
They are being funded by you. The TTP is being funded by you and that Karzai government to come and cause
every time that you come on the news hour, I am convinced that deep within you are convinced that your country is falling apart, but are putting a brave face to it. But
I can't hear you very well.
Mahesh Jethmalani will respond to you tonight. 1 second, Mr. Jethmalani, your comments on the pace of the trial in Pakistan.
Well, it's snail's pace, Arnab, there's no doubt about that. But you know, that pace kind of reflects the attitude of the other side. I don't think they really want this trial to see the end of the day. I don't even think that when it finally ends, I think there's going to be an acquittal of everybody concerned. I think the Pakistanis are hell-bent on snubbing their nose on the legal front as far as 2611 is concerned. Their politicians long ago, initially when there was some apprehension of retaliation on the part of India, I thought they were making some serious attempts. But ever since, our government has sent them dossier after dossier, but not taken up any further action. No other, they have no backup plan in case the Pakistanis are recalcitrant. I suppose we've been hearing statements from all their politicians about how India should move on from 2611 and so on and so forth. So I have no faith in their legal system because there's no will. I'm not undermining.
But nobody in the world does except the Indian government.
Why not have an international inquiry? Why not have an international inquiry? Now listen, I ask you a few questions. Please answer them.
Mr. Jethmalani, yes.
What is this book written by the IGP of Maharashtra state, Mr. Mahroof, who says that Kasab was apprehended by the Nepalese police in 2006 in Nepal and handed over to the Indian police? Read page 197 of the book published by the former
Mr. Jethmalani, since you have
Maharashtra.
No, 1 second. Do you have an Enid Blyton next to you? Would you also like to read from the Enid Blyton to make your case? 1 second, Mahesh Jethmalani will respond to you. If you want to read, you can quote from the next Roald Dahl book as well. If you're not going to be serious as far as the debate is concerned, Mr. Jethmalani will, however, respond to you. Mr. Jethmalani will respond to you. I have a few questions up. Yes.
Mr. Hilaly, since you put that question to me, unlike in the Pakistani courts, we don't rely on pure fiction as evidence in our courts. That book is not worth the paper on which it is written. It is backed up with no evidence whatsoever. And by the way, out of the 616 witnesses, most of them were merely formal witnesses. As far as Kasab was concerned, surely you are not saying that as far as you are concerned, Kasab was not guilty and the Indian courts have wrongly convicted him and sent him to the gallows. Surely that can't be your case, because we have CCTV footage of Mr. Kasab, which is unimpeachable.
No, I'm not saying that.
God's sake,
I'm not saying that.
Don't clutch. You are adding insult to injury, and if you want to establish good relations with India,
not saying that.
And I think
you're backing off now. Mr. Hilaly is backing off from his argument.
I'm not saying that. I don't know why you are accusing me of saying what I'm not saying. I am saying to you that Kasab gave all the evidence off camera. Now, he gave all the evidence in camera, I beg your pardon, in camera. In other words, he did not give it in court. Now, the trouble with that evidence is that when it's not public evidence, the defendant cannot cross-examine that. The defendants cannot cross-examine evidence given in camera. So our court says that is not admissible evidence. Now, I don't know. I am not a lawyer to that extent, but that's what I'm being told.
Which is why perhaps, Mr. Hilaly, you should steer away from legal questions.
Yes.
Mr. Kasab was afforded a defense lawyer by the Indian government.
All right, let me answer the legal questions from Islamabad. I think let me deal with these smart guys, Mr. Hilaly, for a moment.
Now,
go on, Mr. Peerzada. Let's hear your smart alecky reply now.
All right. Do I have the forum? All right. Arnab, you know, if you read the statement published in the Hindustan Times, the statement of the lawyer in Pakistan who was a part of the delegation, that judicial commission that went to India, he came back with this very disturbing statement and observation that the chief interrogating officer, the man who carried out the interrogation into the Kasab incident and the Bombay attacks, that fellow did not personally record any evidence, any statement in his own by himself. Number one. Number two, he never prepared with his own handwriting any document which was his duty. Number three, this is the third observation that lawyer made who came back from India just recently to cross-examine this chief interrogating witness. He said that, look, there were 200
No, I have just one question to all of this which you are saying. I have just one question to you. No, one second. I have just one question to you to stop you in your tracks, because you made a huge mistake right there. I need to stop you right there. Is it true or not? You answer my question. Is it true or not that in January 2009?
You're not going to steal
in
my
January
argument.
2009, listen to me, Mr. Peerzada. Is it true or not?
Let's be fair. Don't be unreasonably patriotic.
I am asking you, this is not about being patriotic, Mr. Hilaly. I don't know if Pakistanis are not patriotic. Indians usually are. But I can understand. Well, let me say this to you, Mr. Hilaly. Let me say this to you, Mr. Hilaly. There is no point. Let me say this to you. In which country in the world? In which country in the world?